Welcome back to our science class. My name is Teacher Yuri, and in today's video we are going to open up a new chapter in our learning, and this is going to be chapter 5, which is about changes in matter. Okay, so in today's video we are going to look into the different types of changes in matter. So please go ahead and get your student book and open it on chapter 5, which is about changes in matter, and let's go ahead and start learning. Good day everyone. I hope that everyone is safe at home and are now ready to learn. So we are now opening up a new chapter in our science lesson, and that is chapter 5, changes in matter. Okay, so I would like to ask everyone to please open your student book on page 70. Alright, so as you can see, the boy on the picture is so worried because there are so many pieces of chocolates that were broken in pieces. Okay, he thought there is no way that he can sell them anymore. So the girl on the other hand said that he should not worry because they can use those to make new chocolate bears. So what do you think is Ning going to do? Do you think she can really make new chocolate bears from the broken pieces of chocolates? So as we go on with our lesson for today, we are going to find out if Ning was correct, alright? So in this lesson, you will be able to differentiate between physical and chemical changes of matter, as well as describe the effects of heat and cooling on substances. Describe how a solution is formed, and you are going to be able to explain the effects of chemical changes on substances. Okay, so as well, before we begin, let us first look at these different vocabulary words that we have prepared for you. So these words are already translated in Thai for your reference. As we go along with our lesson for today, feel free to pause this video and copy these vocabularies in your notebook. Alright, so the vocabulary words are matter, changes, physical change, chemical change, mixture, homogeneous solution, dissolve, shave, ashes, substances, and solute. Okay, so once again, feel free to pause this video and copy these vocabulary words in your notebook. Okay. So let us begin our lesson with a question on page 71 of your book, which says, what are the types of changes in matter? Do you have any idea? And as well, we're going to answer the question, what is matter? Okay, so matter is anything that occupies space and has mass. Okay, so all physical objects, including yourself, are composed of matter. And an easily observed property of matter is its state, or the phase. So the classical state of matter are solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, so for example, a solid example of solid is our rocks. For example, a television, a table, a chair. Examples of liquid are, for example, juices, water, sauce. And an example of gas is, for example, carbon dioxide, oxygen. All right. So matter can go through different changes. Okay. So it can change from solid to liquid, and as well from liquid to gas, and vice versa. Okay, so for example, if you look at your screen right now, we have a bar of chocolate. So notice that a bar of chocolate is shaped as a rectangle. If we shape a bar of chocolate, the shape of the chocolate changes, okay? So it's not a rectangle anymore. Another example is when we place ice cubes under the sun, they melt and become water. So its state changes from solid to liquid, okay? So an ice cube is a solid while it melts down to a liquid. When we burn a piece of paper, it creates a new black substance we call ashes. Okay, so the last example is when we keep bananas for too long, it turns from yellow to brown. So basing on the example given, matter can change its shape, color, its state, and as well as it can also create a totally new substance. Okay, so these changes can be either physical or chemical. So from the example above, can you guess which matter underwent physical change? So is it the bar of chocolate that shaped into shaped chocolates, or is it the ice cubes that melted down to water, or is it the burning of the piece of paper, or is it the browning of the banana? What about chemical change? Can you cite which of our four examples have underwent chemical change? Okay, so a physical change is when a substance undergoes uh, a physical change, it can return to its original form. Okay, so physical changes do not produce new substance. Okay, while a chemical change, on the other hand, is a type of change in which new substance is formed. For example, when you burn something, okay, a new substance is formed. When we burnt a paper, uh, it creates a totally new substance, which is ashes, okay? So that is an example of chemical change. So basing on our examples, the physical changes are the shaved chocolate and the ice melted, okay? Why? They did not create a new substance, although they changed their shape or their state. Okay, so for example, from a rectangular bar of chocolate, uh, it changes its shape and it's not a rectangle anymore. And then the ice, although it is solid, but it is still water and it turns back into water after melting. Okay, and both of them can return to its original form. Okay, so if you melt the chocolate and then put it in a mold, it will again create a rectangular shape, as well as the ice cubes. If you put the water into the freezer for a few hours, it will come back into being a solid once again. Okay, they are physical change because they did not create a whole new substance, a totally new substance after undergoing changes. Okay, all right. The chemical changes are the burnt paper and the banana turning brown. So a burnt paper creates a new substance, which is again ashes. It is totally different substance that has a different property than of paper. Okay, so it is not paper anymore. It has a totally new substance or a totally new property, which is different from paper. A banana turning brown is also a chemical change because there is a new, darker and less tasty substances formed. Okay, so it creates a totally new substance that is quite different, a little bit different from the banana. Okay, so and both of them, we cannot turn them back into its original form. Okay, a rotten banana will be rotten, and you cannot bring back a rotten banana into a fresh yellow banana. As well as the paper, if you burn the paper, you cannot turn back that ash into a paper once again. Okay, so they cannot go back to its original form. Alright, so for us to be able to understand physical change better, let us take a look at the following video and let's find out whether adding salt in water is a physical change. Okay, so do not try this experiment at home without the supervision of an adult or your parents. Okay, this can be very dangerous because we are going to use fire. Okay? So the materials for this experiment is table salt, a beaker half filled with water or a pan, a tablespoon, an evaporating dish. Okay, so the steps is we are going to add a spoonful of table salt to a beaker that is half filled with water. Okay, mix well. Add 2 spoonfuls of the salt solution into an evaporating dish, and then we are going to heat the evaporating dish over a flame. Okay, so you are going to turn off the flame when the salt solution has dried up. Okay, so let us watch this video and let us see what will happen to the solution.
We have taken a glass of water and we are going to mix a spoon of salt into that. We'll stir it till the salt fully dissolves. Now we are going to pour this salt solution in this vessel and boil it till it evaporates. As you can see, the water has evaporated, leaving behind a salt. Now the water has fully evaporated, leaving behind a salt.
Okay, so after watching the video, let us answer questions A, B, and C. So what did you observe when the salt solution has dried up? Okay, what have you observed? Okay, so in the video, basing on the video, we have observed that when the salt solution has dried up, the salt remained in the evaporating dish or in the pan. Okay, so only the water has evaporated. Okay, so letter B, is the adding of table salt and water a physical change? I believe it is a physical change. Why? Because that when we dissolve salt in water, it changes perhaps from solid into a liquid state, okay, when it's dissolved in water, when it's mixed with water. But after evaporating all the liquid, the salt comes back to its original form, which is a solid, okay, which are granules of salt. So with the process that it has changed its state from solid to liquid and then go back to being a solid after evaporation of the liquid, then it is a physical change, okay? And it did not create a totally new substance, okay? It is still salt. Alright, so letter C. Let us discuss how you can get back water from a salt solution. Alright, so after we have separated water from the salt solution, we have separated the water from the salt solution that we did, and then the salt remains into the evaporating dish. Then we can get back water from the salt solution through the process of condensation. Okay, so we cool down the gaseous water, the water that turns into a liquid, we can condense that, and then we are going to cool it down, and then now it will become liquid again, okay? And condensation, we are going to discuss that in the following video. But for you to get back water from the salt solution after boiling or after evaporation, it needs to undergo the process of condensation. All right, so don't worry, we're going to discuss everything about condensation and all other changes in matter as we go through the lesson. Okay, so next we have a mixture and homogeneous solution. So what is a mixture? Okay, so a mixture is formed when two or more substances are added together and the properties of each substance does not change. Okay, now let's say, for example, a mixture happens when you combine two substances but they do not completely mix. Okay, so the properties do not mix. For example, if you add sand to a cup of water, for example, the sand would sink to the bottom, but the sand will never dissolve with water, okay? It will not totally mix with water. So they are together, but they are not completely mixed together. So for example, a salad is an example of a mixture, okay? What is this mixture made up of? Okay, so for example, we have a mixture of lettuce, carrots, bell peppers, and tomatoes, okay? So they are mixed up together, but they do not totally mix up their properties. So that is a mixture, okay? So next, for example, when we add a spoonful of sugar in water, when a solid dissolves in liquid, the particles of the solid are evenly mixed with the particles of the liquid. This forms a homogeneous solution. So this is now the difference between a homogeneous solution and a mixture. Okay, so for example, when we add a spoonful of sugar in water, the sugar dissolves in water, okay? It becomes the same state as the water. It is dissolved. A sugar solution is now formed, okay? Because they mixed up together entirely. So for example, another example is when we put salt into water, the salt becomes liquid because it dissolved in water. Now we have a salt solution, okay? Whereas on the other hand, some substances such as sand cannot dissolve in water. So this is just a mixture but not a solution, okay? Because the sand did not dissolve entirely in water, okay? The substance that dissolved in liquid is called a solute. Now, the liquid in which a solute dissolves is called a solvent. So, for our example of salt and water, can you guess which is a solute and which is a solvent? Okay, so a solute is the salt and the water is our solvent. Okay. Okay, so for your activity for today, we are going to answer page 74 on your student book and as well as page 49 on your workbook. Again, page 74 on your student book and page 49 on your workbook. Okay, so page 74 we are going to answer together, and page 49 on your workbook you're going to answer by yourself. Okay, so we're going to give you vocabulary words that you can use for you to be able to answer the puzzle on page 49. Okay, so let's begin. Number one, a bowl of different types of nuts is an example of a blank. Okay, so when you put different nuts into a bowl, for example, cashew nuts and peanuts and also almonds in a bowl and you mix them together, is this a form of A, solution, B, mixture, C, liquid, or D, gas? So what do you think? Okay, so the answer would be letter B. Okay, if the nuts dissolved in a bowl, it will be a solution. Okay, but there's no way that they can dissolve in a bowl, so this is just a mixture. They are together, but they are not mixed up entirely. Okay, so number two, a blank is formed when two or more substances are added and the properties of each substances do not change. So again, a blank is formed when two or more substances are added and the properties of each substance do not change. Okay, for example, A, dissolve, B, solution, C, solute, or D, solvent. The answer would be letter B. It is a solution. Okay, a blank is formed, a solution is formed when two or more substances are added and the properties of each substance do not change. Okay, so if when you put a salt in the water, the salt is still salt, it's just dissolved in water. Okay, it does not create a whole new substance. Okay, so it did not change the properties of the salt, although it changed the state. Okay, for example, from solid to liquid. Okay, but it did not change the property of the salt. It's still a salt. Alright, then the last one, when chalk is added to water, a cloudy mixture is formed. This shows that chalk blanks water. A, changes in the state of water. Letter B, decreases the temperature of water. Letter C, does not dissolve in water, or letter D, dissolves in water. So what do you think? So our answer would be it does not dissolve in water. So the particles of chalk is just going around in water, but it does not dissolve. Okay, so when a cloudy mixture, if you put that at rest, then the chalk will actually go down in at the bottom of a cup, for example, or a bowl. Okay, so chalk is insoluble, or it means that it does not dissolve in water. Okay, so it's just the particles going around, small little particles going around, but then they break down, but then they do not dissolve in water. Okay, so do not forget to answer page 49 on your workbook. It is a puzzle that you are going to fill out with vocabularies. So we are going to give you the vocabulary on your workbook so that you will be able to answer them easily. Okay, so I hope that you have a great day, guys, and I will see you in our next video.